I mean, she was just like, appeared, talking about the idiots that she heard talking and what they were saying, and also that they met with somebody, and I don't remember who it was, to say, can you help us with whatever this is? And he was saying, there's nothing I can do. Nothing's gonna get done. And, it's like, well, what do you do? Arizona is pretty much a Republican state still. And I wonder how it is this national gridlock gets transferred down to states, and can anything really break it open and break through so that there can be real partisan working on issues by good-hearted people on both sides?
Well, the frustration is real, and you'd have to be
thick-skinned, don't you?
Well, you have to be thick-skinned. You'd also have to kind of take leave of your senses if you didn't actually see that frustration, if you didn't feel that frustration. Anybody who looks at what's going on is going to be frustrated. I think the hope for the future comes in a couple different ways. Number one, I don't think Arizona is a Republican state. You look at registration numbers, there is a Republican there's a Republican advantage, but it basically breaks down to about 33% about 36% Republican, 33% Democrat, 30% independents, and independents growing by far faster than everybody else. In fact, both Democrats and Republicans are losing ground overall, while independents are galloping ahead.
Because everybody's so frustrated.
Because people are so frustrated with both parties, exactly. And I think that is where the sense is, that is where the future is, but it's also how we have to look at this election. This is not a Republican state, it is a state that is, with a slight Republican advantage, basically coming to be a third. And so our challenge is to be able to say, we as Democrats have to be the ones to speak to the independents, have to speak to a lot of these Republicans that I'm talking about who are dissatisfied with what is going on and just as frustrated as all of us, and to really build a coalition. And we can't just think of it as Democrats, Republicans, sharks versus jets, because that's not healthy for us, and it's not the way the reality is. I mean, the reality is that most people out there are looking at both sides and saying, I want nothing to do with any of these people. And so we really have to think of ourselves and think about the way we go forward as the Democrats and independents and moderate Republicans combined. And in that sense, there is a majority in this state. And that's how Jan Napolitano got elected twice, and that's how Terry Goddard got elected twice. And let's remember, they both got re-elected with 60+% of the vote. Jan Napolitano won every precinct in the state, the most conservative places, every county. I mean, she won overwhelmingly. We've seen Democrats do well if they are able to have a message that reaches out to people, and if they have the resources, not just in terms of campaign money, but in terms of volunteers and everything else to get that message out. And if we do that in 2010, then I'm 100% sure we're going to be able to win.
We'd mentioned stimulus
Oh, yes, right.
the money. Can you tell us how that's going to affect us if we don't take it? I thought she was not going to take any stimulus money. So if she doesn't take it, then how do these small solar companies get the stimulus money that they need to make the state a good state?
Well, I don't know if Jim Grover did say that, but we did take the stimulus money as a state, and despite any carping, they took it pretty happily. In fact, all of you who heard President Obama's State of the Union address, when he was talking about the different companies that have been helped along by the stimulus, one of those companies he was talking about was a renewable energy-based company based in Phoenix. So those dollars have been coming to the state. Of course, nobody ever claimed that that alone is going to rebuild the economy, and if anybody ever did, they were being silly about it, because we're in a place where all that money from the stimulus and things like that can make a difference on the margins, and it has. The question is, how has it prevented us from being even worse? And part of the problem is that the stimulus, the deal that goes along with that is you can't cut below a certain level. There's something called maintenance of effort. You have to keep the money that's coming from the state and things like education at a certain area, healthcare, other places, if, as appears possible, we're going to be keeping on cutting even further, cutting deeper into the bone of the state, we're going to get past that point, at which point a lot of these stimulus dollars are going to be at risk.
Why don't we have one more question for Andrei, and wrap it up. You're welcome to talk to him. I feel really strongly, if you want candidates of this quality running for office, you have to volunteer to support them. You have to open your checkbook, and you have to contribute economically to their campaigns. We've got Patrick over there, his hand up.
Well, just sort of, in the 21 years I've lived in Arizona, I personally felt there was evidence that the handwriting was on the wall all during that time. And in a certain sense, I feel that the people, the citizens were like not interested. They were like real estate agents during a boom. Well, we're coming along great, so we'll just keep going, and it's going to be all right no matter how other things aren't working out. It's not affecting me. So that it goes on until the crisis comes, and then everybody's, when it's practically too late, then everybody starts noticing that there's a problem.
Well, all I can say is I agree. You know, I think that was part of the mentality. That's why all those great studies sat there on the shelves all those years, because when times were good, there was little interest in making some of these changes. Delay it till tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Everything's going fine. Let somebody else worry about it. Now it's us.
Thanks for letting me have my say. I'm sure everybody knows it already.
I'll take you with me. I still have one question. Let me ask one last question.
Well,
Yes.
I think that one thing that we have is I perceive a great lack of candidates at the grassroots level. And at least in this area, finding people who are willing to run for county supervisor, run for city council, run for these. And can you offer any advice to this organization or anything that would help us to create, find these people, to encourage them to run organizationally or anything? I mean, maybe you're going to say the same thing we've heard before, but it'd be nice to see it.
Well, I don't know what you've heard before, so I'll say what I can think. You know, I think it's a huge sacrifice to ask somebody to jump into something like this, and they really have to be willing to give it themselves. I mean, as you see from the back of my propaganda, you have a son who's about to turn 2 on Saturday, and it's my wife who works hard too and works full time, and it's a big sacrifice in every way for a family to go through something like this. So you have to find people that really are committed and really believe in what they're doing, and have a sense of what they want to do. Because if it's just about the glamour of it, that goes away in about 5 minutes. But then the other thing is, and this gets back to Stephen's point, I think if you're going to ask candidates to step forward, they have to know that somebody has their back. Because whether it's running in a statewide race in a place as big as Arizona, or whether it's running for a local election in Sedona, or a county election, nobody can do it alone. And the way our democracy is set up is that nobody is supposed to do it alone. Nobody's supposed to be able to buy an office, or nobody's supposed to be able to just waltz into these things. You have to get citizens behind you, and that is part of the magic of the democratic process. For all of the frustration and all the head shaking, that's the way it's worked since Thomas Jefferson was campaigning against John Adams more than 200 years ago. You have to be able to get people to come together and say, here's our vision, here's our direction, here's the kind of leadership we offer. But we don't have a country of kings, whether it's a governor or state treasurer or mayor of Sedona. We have a country of citizen leaders, and that means citizens have to get involved. So I know that's why all of you are here at 8 a.m. on a Thursday morning, but can be counting on you for a lot more 8 a.m.s and 8 p.m.s in the months to come. So thank you very much again.